It's Friday. Welcome to the Friday Grief Chat. As we were trying to go live, by the way, I'm Jill and that's Deb. I said, go live, and it wouldn't go live. So Deb said, go dead. And there we are. It was on. It knew who we were.
It knew who we were.
Right?
It laughed at our joke. And, what's the opposite of alive?
With so many options, but usually it involves being dead.
Yes, or at least on this physical plane.
Right. Uh-huh.
Oh my gosh. Jill, I read your post.
The one I put on the Humor, Grace, and Grief page.
Yeah. The one about, did that actually happen to you, or that was someone else writing how you were standing next to someone?
Yeah. Go ahead and describe it. Mm-hmm.
So as I read Jill's page, and can you see me? Does it look too dark in here?
No, you're great.
Okay, great. And as I was reading this on Jill's page, it was like two people who randomly met up because they were in line, and one person said, I am just not okay. Mm-hmm. And the other person said, me either, right? They were
wearing the sweatshirt that said
some political thing.
We still care. I'll pull it up while you're talking.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And I gotta be honest, some things that I thought in my own life, grief from, family stuff, I have not been, I said to myself, it's sort of like nurses say to themselves, after they're in total denial that anything is going wrong or whatever, I finally said, oh my gosh, I am really grieving, not just, sort of like political stuff and the things that are going on and the news, which this week I'm all into Call the Midwife. I am not even watching late night, except for not the monologues. I'll see the guests because the news seems to change every 8 hours. And my 69-year-old spirit that lived through Vietnam
can't do this again.
Not everybody knows about this, but it's the Malay massacre all over again.
Yes, it is. I'll read the quote now if that's all right.
Yeah.
It says, I went to CVS for a prescription wearing my No Kings sweatshirt. Woman behind me says, I love your sweatshirt. She was about my age, old. And when she said, I can't believe this is all happening, as I started to respond, my eyes welled up and tears started rolling down my cheeks. I said, sorry. And she put her hand on my arm and said, we all feel that way. I didn't realize how underneath every emotion I have about what's happening to our country is profound grief.
It is. And while some might still be, someone wrote about the stages, wrote something to me today about the stage of anger. And I didn't correct her. I said anger and grief are the same side, are the different side of the same coin. And plus it's this time of year. So as I was saying to you, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like my own grief club here. And it's sort of odd, but it's a nursing thing too. Like, oh, we can take care of it. We can take care of it. We can take care of it. And I am the client. And it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you are. It does not matter if you are Republican or Democrat. The extreme when you are at either one of the extremes, I don't have the capability right now to converse with you. I can go
Mhm.
only because I don't want to have an argument. And
Your teapot's full.
my capacity,
Mhm.
what's her name in Australia just wrote my capacity.
Joe?
What's
Mhm.
Yeah, she talked about capacity. Dee Dee Williams, one of our guests,
Mhm.
both of those people have been guests before. Write about capacity. I've been talking about capacity for at least 5 years before I was 65 with a friend the same age. Age, what's going on in the world, this time of holidays, this time of this. You may have less capacity. And I'm saying, as I say to myself, it is
Mhm.
time to deep breathe. It is time to
Mhm.
drink more water. Go out and get your vitamins, even if it is really cold outside. Go out, and that's what I'm going to do today. And I'm just saying, if I'm
I'll
feeling
borrow a
like this, how are you feeling?
I'll borrow a term from my daughter. I'm writing a couple notes in the chat. My daughter will come out sometimes and say, as particularly after a day where there's been a lot of stuff in her world, and she'll say, "My social battery is just done.
Yes.
I need to go play, and I'm not going to play online because she's a gamer because there's people. I'm going to play against
Mm-hmm.
myself." Or she'll call her sister and play online with one of her sisters, and they don't talk. Sometimes that's a talking time, but when the emotional battery, the social battery is down, and this time of year, that
Right.
social battery can be a lot lesser because there's all the other stuff. And I have to admit, our house looks like Christmas threw up outside. We've got lights everywhere because I love Christmas lights. I do. And our skeleton got turned back on by some magic of having the power go out. So now when I drive up the street, he's decked out in Christmas lights, but his eyes are back on and his chest is glowing again. So it's like a splendiferous array when you come up. It's fun, right?
It is, and I need to take down the one thing and put up my rainbow ornament wreath, and I always stick a skeleton in there with a Christmas sweater. And
Absolutely.
and
Mhm.
and to make myself laugh, I wrote to Jill, by the way, last year. Jill was putting in the refrigerator at her work
Yeah.
these light that when you open the refrigerator, inside it plays Christmas carols.
And the lights
And
go
there
off
was
in patterns.
and the right. And there was a joke about not a joke, it was serious. If you want to put Christmas lights on a coffin, there is nothing illegal about that. You go right ahead.
There
And
may be Christmas lights at graves in Evergreen Cemetery right now. There
let's
might be,
see,
just saying.
they're just saying. Jill and I both agree you can deck the halls, whatever is your hall, as what you like. And so I thought if you opened the casket, that the lights, the Christmas lights and Christmas carols could go on.
Right.
And that is the way Jill and I gain energy. It's not for everybody else.
It's my coping. It is how I
It's
cope. Christmas
it's
carols,
how I cope.
right? Roof open on the car,
Right.
Christmas carols blasting. Not bad Christmas
Yes.
carols, fun Christmas carols, but um,
Yeah.
and for centering, I use my candle ring, that the Advent wreath ring of candles, and that's the
Right.
place I can, right, because
You
it
can
is
settle down into your
exhausting,
heart.
right?
And you
Mhm.
know, taking it. So most people know that I was totally into watching the Gilmore Girls, not the Gilmore, it's just Gilmore Girls for months, a couple months of, and no late night comedians and stuff, because I needed a break from even making fun of politics. Then I could do that a little. But the other day, it started to come back. It's like an anxiety every 8 hours. There
Right.
is something that changed. And so if you grew up in a house where you didn't, and I know I wasn't the only one, but to anyone, when you grew up in a household where you didn't know where the next wave of unpleasant emotions were coming from, it didn't matter. And unpleasant scenarios, both visual and physical and auditory, what you're always on high alert. And being on that high alert, when other emotions come in there from 3 years ago or 10 years ago, whatever, it's your capacity is diminished.
When you have a high cortisol level that you've been living with for a long time, and that is what that comment in that post, and I put the link to the post that goes back to our page on the chat, if anyone's listening afterward. When you're living with such a high cortisol level, you are on high alert at all times. It alters everything about how you sift through the world, how you respond to the world. High cortisol level, even, I just read this in a study, makes folks who live with high cortisol not have an appetite in the morning. So it actually drives down your appetite, so you don't have energy to start the day. It's like an evil, bad little critter in there doing that. I'm happy to report that I don't have a high cortisol level. I will wake up like, get out of my way, I need my toast. But it's that it's an overwhelming input thing that takes over a lot of your brain and your body. And when you've grown up in trauma, and now we're living in trauma, and if you are living in the US, largely, no matter where you are on the political spectrum, there is such an increasing, and I didn't think it was possible, divide, such an increasing level of trauma and unbelief and not knowing who to trust. It's just so much for folks.
It is. And
and I'm watching our students who are in their 20s, and they don't remember gas lines. They don't remember the onset of HIV. They definitely don't remember seeing the dead come home from Vietnam. And they don't remember the first desert wars. And they don't remember 9/11. And, there's so much else that they don't remember. And they don't remember Richard Nixon. They don't remember the relief when that family left the White House. And when people went to prison for clearly violating the Constitution, they don't remember that. This is their entire experience with this level of whatever it is that we've got going on. And they just don't know what to do with all of it. Hi, LaDonna. And they don't know, in large part, what to do with folks experiencing it other than to listen to them and support them. But we're in Southern California. We've got a lot of clients who are literally in hiding and who need food delivered because they can't get into their houses safely.
Right. They can't leave the house. Right.
And lost health insurance. And, the level of fear is just palpable. And they're trying to hold space, and they're doing remarkably with it. I'm not dissing them. It's just, we've lived through so much of this. It's exhausting, and we sort of have some things to draw back on, even though it is more exhausting than it's ever been. Some of these folks have never seen this before. and they don't know what to do with it.
They, you know, I was talking with another friend of mine who's more of the military culture. So I actually got to hear more from that culture. That's what I like to call it, because it's
It
a
is.
different way.
Mhm.
And so I actually was enlightened about a few things, but it's still exhausting. That's why I said it doesn't matter uh, Republican or Democrat or even independent. It's the constant change, and the news puts out things before it is vetted, before
Mhm.
they can stick with it. And now it's just like being in not a video game, but a pinball machine.
With the
And the
fatigue and
pinball,
grief overlying it.
yes, yes. And if I can say to our listening audience, please go within, even for 1 minute, and ask yourself, how am I doing? Just me. Now, this is pretty different than maybe some cultures that you've grown up in, because you're asking how are you doing and not how everybody else is doing.
Right. Don't be the caretaker for everyone else.
Right now, you will your capacity will be more solid rather than on shaky ground if you say, how am I doing? What do I need right now? And I'll quickly tell this story. Um, the other day, uh, I woke up. It was pretty late. I guess I needed sleep, and I just kept sleeping and sleeping, and I did not have energy for doing. And I was feeling the grief, comparing holidays past where things were, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. And then here, I was just feeling grief, and I go, what do you need? And there is something now called, I don't, it's a therapeutic term. Jill, you might have to help me. It's when you need someone to be with you, to give you energy and keep you on track to do an activity.
Companioning?
So maybe it's companioning. Is it called body doubling or something
And there
like
is
that?
body doubling as well, where you schedule things at the same time, and so you sit and you do your stuff and they do their stuff, and you check in every 30 minutes to an hour.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So I said, it's like I need somebody to call me. I don't have the energy to call anybody. And I sort of immediately put that out to the universe, noting I was grieving and had very little capacity. I have to tell you, 5 minutes later, a friend calls
The
and said,
universe answers.
the universe answered me 5 minutes most.
Mhm.
And I started to actually tear up when this person called, and they said, I need somebody to talk to. So then I felt useful and not in my head like, well, I'm just a piece of shit to so and so, right? Right? I know that's who,
Anybody who says that about Deb, you're coming through me.
right. But that is what we do, Jill,
Mm-hmm.
especially as a woman. And men can't even admit that's how they're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say all men, I'm not going to say all women. So we talked, and I had enough energy to get myself something to eat. And then that evening, I said, okay, I'm losing weight. I need some sort of exercise. Thank you, Noel. Thank you. Thank you. Noel wrote, me too.
Yes.
And, you know, I said, Deb, why don't you call up so-and-so, which I did, and said,
Mhm.
what are you doing for your exercise plan? She goes, ugh, I've been horrible because I really want somebody to go with me. I said, that's why I'm calling. And so we have a plan. My capacity says max 2 times a week, which is 2 times a week more than what I'm doing.
That
So
works. Mhm.
think about everybody who's listening now or later. Take that moment to check in with yourself. How are you doing? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
You're
I'm
writing
writing it down
something.
in the notes.
Oh.
Yes. How do we check in and how do we make changes? Changes that will help us with our capacity and ways that are not adding stress, right? So you said I have the capacity for 2 walks, not 7, right? How do I make sure that instead of having a glass of wine 4 days a week, I have it 1 day a week? How do I make sure that I actually am drinking the water that's sitting in front of my desk? And here's my challenger on that, because this little man, Walter's on my lap, drinks water all day long. So now when he sips from his glass on my desk, I take a swig from my bottle because he's really good about hydrating and I'm lousy at it. And we need
Well,
that when it's winter weather.
I will have to call Stacy if you stick your face into a bowl and start lapping it up.
My boy
And
uses a
so,
glass, a teal
oh,
glass. Yes.
really?
When we are at the office, he's got his little suit on and he has a glass in his bed because we don't use
Oh,
bowls. Because if there's a bowl, he sits in it. So
oh, oh, funny, funny.
so the glass is it. Yes. But again, there's laughter there. There's joy there. There's a face to look at, although he doesn't have the therapeutic eyes. Right?
Right. Right. But you know, it, one time for my daughter, she was really having a moment, and I said, let's write down all the changes that are going on in your life right now. And that includes changes that you wanted and changes you didn't. And the
Yes.
list, I said, look at this list. She goes, oh, Mom, I don't want to look at the list. And I go, look at the list. This is why you feel this way. It can't necessarily take care of and instantly make you feel better, but let's look at the facts of what's going on. So in this country, the facts are
So many.
at least half, if not more at this point, people are tired of the politicking. Look at how I said that. I'm not saying one way or another. They're tired of the politicking. They're tired of having it's I'm going to say dysregulating all the politicking. We don't even
Mhm.
have balance in our lives because it's there so much.
They're
And
tired of the
we have
gaslighting too.
it's gaslighting, it's uh, not sticking with one story or speaking too soon.
Or
Think
even 4
about
stories.
2-year-olds or 4 stories. Think about a little kid that you're going shopping with. Oh, I want this, I want this, I want this. Well, no, I don't want that. But you wanted that. So you go and get it. And then by the time you're not even to the cash register, I don't want that. Who said I wanted that? And then you
Right.
put it back. And then you're like, who lets their kids boss them around that way? But we are ruled by one way we are ruled is by government. One way. And then so what can you do about that? You can limit that kind of In Yiddish, we'd call it mishigash, that kind of crazy thinking, craziness that you're like, me. So limit that. Another thing
You
that's
can
going
put it in
on.
timeout. If you're thinking in terms of toddlers,
Yes.
you can put
Yeah.
it in timeout. And that's
Yes.
an
And
important skill at this time of year when there's so much that can easily overwhelm anybody. The holiday season is
so,
a challenge for anyone with a mood disorder.
oh, so in this country, well, in Illinois and in California, there's daylight savings time. So nothing happened gradually. There was a big shift,
Right.
right? An hour's difference, a quicker darkness came upon us, right? And so we're coming up to the solstice. So, what are some things that you can do? Because that shifts your mood. Please, you know what? Go to the doctor or call up your, or put it in the portal, call them up or whatever, and say, I wonder if I'm low on vitamin D. Can you do a vitamin D test? Or if you're confident, do a vitamin D and B to see, because stress, that cortisol just depletes you.
It
It depletes
absolutely
your vitamin
does.
C. It depletes the vitamins. You don't even absorb them correctly.
Right.
So, check and see if that's for you. Increase your water intake. And that's harder when it's colder. So make sure you're drinking warm water. Tea, not necessarily caffeinated, but even flavored water, warm or cold, whatever you need.
And
And
connect with
so
others. We
hydrating.
need that connection. Find a buddy to make sure you're doing it with them, but connect with people. There are actually apps now that will remind you to call someone, remind you to text someone, remind you to email someone. Those are important pieces.
Those are, because you don't want people.
And and
And
going back to the impetus for today's show, the thing on Facebook with, sharing grief. When I am out in public, even if it's not a great day for me, I am making sure that when I look at someone, I'm smiling and I say hello and I wish them a good day. And I'm not inquiring anything personal, but I'm checking in and I'm making sure they know that they've been seen and that they matter.
that's right. That's right.
Right? That's important right now because it's really easy to go unseen and to not be heard. And we need to make sure that we are letting people know that they are seen.
And it's sort of like a volunteer job, right? Something that you're not getting paid for, that you
Yep.
are just I call it letting your light shine on someone else. And
Hmm.
don't forget to look to others for the light.
Right.
If if you can, you know, maybe you're going to smile at the little kid in the cart in front of you. That's great. Or maybe you are going to, as the kid is screaming their head off, maybe you can play a little bit or just say, wow, I'm glad my kids are grown. So, you can go
Right.
into a, a comparison that feels grateful, not one that
Hmm.
brings you down. Um, Maybe you say, I only have a half an hour to check in with myself. Maybe you need a 20-minute nap, and that is okay.
Or a 20-minute walk.
Or a 20-minute
Or
walk.
20 minutes of looking around and looking at with wonder at what's around you. I can walk out of my office now downtown in the evening and there is an entire fair across the street. I get to see all the bright lights of all the fair rides going round and up and down and fluorescent lighting. And yeah,
Really?
Yeah, we have the Festival
Really?
of Lights in
Do you,
Riverside, and we are one of the top 3 Christmas festivals in the country now. So we get well over, I think it's 3 million visitors during the course of the season. The Mission Inn is lit up,
wow.
and all of downtown is lit up, and yeah, our house looks way
Well,
minor compared to them.
you, you know, I like what Noel says. You know, uh, she's aware of signs. Her maiden name was Nickel, and after her mom
Oh,
passed, she'd find a
mhm.
nickel in unexpected places, and she took it personally.
As
That's
she
what a
should.
sign is. You take it
Yes,
personally.
right.
Yes. And that brings a smile. And there are enough scientific studies that show um, smiling, even if for just a moment, you hope it builds more than a moment, it has a way to help your nervous system.
Mhm,
It also, once you, if you go someplace to laugh, Big Bang Theory is still my go-to. And there's a couple other things that make just Daryl and I laugh. And when you can share a laugh with someone, that's even better. And that help regulates your nervous system as
mhm.
well as your immune system, because your immune system is affected by your nervous system.
Which means take
So,
care of yourself, folks. And as we are sliding closer to holidays, Hanukkah starts, I think, next week. Or is it this week? I can't remember. Um,
the
but as we're
14th,
sliding it 14th, as
14th.
we slide into all of the holidays, make sure that you are not packing your schedule. Make sure that you're leaving breathing room, that you have space around events, and that you give yourself an out. And if you are in the middle of grief this year, that if you're going to events, you're giving yourself the ability. Yes, Phyllis Smith, the rebellious widow, loneliness does show up at this time of year. And so connect with folks, but also give yourself an out. If that party gets to be too much, my dog needs to go out and I need to go. Oodles are the best excuse ever for leaving. I think you could do that with cats too. Um, or a lonely friend needs to meet me. And if you're experiencing loneliness
Mhm.
and you have the energy, connect with someone. Find a place to grab a coffee or go for a walk through a Christmas tree lot or any of the other things that can bring joy to you and soothing to that inner self that needs the soothing and the connection.
And if you don't have the capacity to walk, if there is a park you can drive through, even just seeing the trees go by, you go to the end of the park and you
Mm-hmm.
turn around because you don't know what you have to drive slow enough in a park anyway. So you do that and you come drive back and you will see nature. It's not concrete, urban, uh, stores.
I will
And
tell
if
you,
you
my
do not have,
sister, go ahead. My
no, go
sister
ahead.
lives in Chicago and she doesn't have a yard, but she has a little balcony. And she turned that
Hmm.
into her magical garden. And that
Yes,
gives her that bit of nature just walking outside her third floor apartment. So we've got lots of ways we can create nature around us, and we need to.
right. There are, if you are a gardener, start looking through some catalogs. That will
Yes,
excite you. Just
but
now, here's the other thing. Money is tighter around this time because you have your regular bills and then there's whatever. I give everybody permission here to regift.
yes,
Regift uh, something that means something to you. Maybe you were going to give it to a secondhand place, or a thrift store or whatever. See what you have. You don't have to bake something. You don't have to cook something. You can just write a card if you want. But sometimes you don't have the capacity for that, and that's understandable.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe make a phone call. Say, I'm not sending cards. I wanted to check on you.
Find a picture you took
And
with that person and send them a message with a happy thought about when the picture was taken and thinking about them.
exactly. That's right. That's right. So
We are at our
make,
time. Next week, we have a guest. We will have Pastor Kristen. She will be here. She is from First Congregational Church in downtown Riverside, California. She has written a book. Here it is. My desk is kind of dangerously overwhelmed right now, but it's Words of Hope, Devotions for
oh,
Patients and Those Who Love Them. And
yeah.
she is, in fact, a former hospice chaplain. And she also
Hmm.
has a spouse who is very ill right now. So she's gifting us with her time and her wisdom. And we're going to have one of those conversations we love to have. So we hope that you will join us for that. Angela Van Dyne Kennedy says almost every gift she gives is thrifted and she loves the hunt. I love that. I can't wait till I'm retired and I get to do that. I don't have time, but I do love the regifting, and I've got some thoughts right now, as a matter of fact. So next week, be here for Kristen Nelson and us, and we'll have the conversation as we slide in. Take a deep breath.
Remember how we used to put our hands on our heart?
Yeah,
You put
I'll
your
put it on
thumbs
Walter.
together
Mm-hmm.
and make it into a heart and put it just on your sternum as
And
if it's
breathe.
your heart. And just let's do that just for a moment. Breathe in and breathe out.
And take that feeling with you into the next week.
Yes, you are okay.
And we will be
Keep
okay.
telling yourself.
Bye,
Yeah.
everybody.
Thank you so much, everybody. See you next week.